Hello, I'm Aaron Benzick, president of Solve the Case. Thank you for your interest in our platform for doing the most good on cases of unsolved murders, missing persons, unidentified persons, and fugitives. Did you know that anyone can add a new case to the Solve the Case database? Today, we're going to talk about how to add a new case by going through the different steps and how they work together to create an organized homepage for victims. After following along, if you have any questions, please reach out.
To get started, we're going to use the Add a Case button that's featured in the upper right corner of our homepage. You'll find links to add a new case throughout several different sections of the website, such as this box here, and also on our Browse page. You're going to find Add a Case button. Selecting the Add a Case button goes to the page where you start with what type of case are you going to be adding. Our options here are missing person, murder, suspicious death, fugitive, and unidentified person. The case we're going to be entering today is going to be a case of a missing person, so we're going to select that option. Once we do, Solve the Case is going to remind you that we do not replace law enforcement. We supplement law enforcement investigations, and any case that you add into the Solve the Case database, we require that law enforcement are to be aware of it. We have a confirmation button. Is law enforcement aware of this case? Yes, they are. We're going to select confirmation. And then what we're going to find is a list of what should you be expecting for law enforcement on a case of missing persons. These are some guides to help you understand what should law enforcement be doing, what questions can you ask, and what can you study up on. As you change the different case type to different options, the expectations from law enforcement are going to be changed down below. You can go through the different options and see the different selections that we have. For the missing person case, we're going to give information about entering the person on NCIC as a missing person, utilizing the NamUs database, and that family reference DNA sample that we just wish all missing person cases had. We've got our options set correctly, so we're going to go next to create a case. Our next step is going to be adding in the information for our missing person. The case we're going to be entering today is for Harold Rowland. His middle name is William, and his last name is Rowland. He has no suffix, we'll leave that blank. He does have an alias of Bill, so we will list it in here. This will help us be able to search for this case and find it easier on the internet. Since this is a missing person case, we're going to have the date last seen. Mr. Rowland was last seen on July 21st of 1997. We can enter it this way, get our dates in, or we can also hit the calendar button and bring up a traditional calendar where we can go through the years, go through the months, go through the days. July 21st, 1997 is the correct date for Bill. So let's get that case created. Once the framework of the case is created, we're then going to start populating the different sections. You're going to see it broken down into person, general, status, vitals, tasks, timeline, points of interest, media, vehicles, associated persons, related stories. This top menu will slide back and forth on mobile, or you can use the left and right arrow to go through them. We start on the person tab, which is the information that we've already entered. If we were changing any of this, we can make our change, and it would be saved once we hit the update button. Nothing is saved until we hit that update button, however. Next, let's move to the general tab. This is saying, hey, you made changes and you didn't save it. Are you sure you want to move tabs? In this case, I was just demoing it, so yeah, we're okay changing it. We switch to the new tabs. This is where we've got a lot of blank information to fill out. We're going to start with the jurisdiction. This missing person is being investigated by the Angelina County Sheriff's Office. And he is missing from San Augustine County in Texas. There is a reward being provided by Texas Crime Stoppers. It's for the amount of $3,000. And if we include a link on the reward information, that is then going to be included as a link on the case details page. So we'll post that URL in there for a link about how to get more information about the reward. We next have the brief summary, the circumstances of disappearance, and additional details. The brief summary is designed to be just that, a brief summary. It's limited to 500 characters. And the goal here is to summarize the fact patterns of the case without all the full details, but just a good summary of learning what this is about. For this case, we're going to post in what we've come up with as a brief summary, pasting it in. We use 332 of the 500 characters. You'll see that it gives us a little indicator down at the bottom. So we've got the fact patterns in here. Now we're going to dive into the circumstances of disappearance. This is where we're going to detail things. what happened on what day, what are some of the specifics. We'll paste those details in here. And then last, we have an additional details field. Maybe we don't want to dive into all the minute details and the circumstances, but we do want to include things like, hey, he did have a ladder in the back of his truck. It's very specific. Here's what it looked like, but it's gone. All right, so we can include some of those things here, pasting in our additional details. We now have this section all filled out, so we're going to hit update. That's going to save the data in our database. Now, while we're building out this site, the profile is not live. This is a private profile that nobody can see until you publish the case. And we've got this big red tab called status, and this is where you publish a case, unpublish a case, change the case status from open to solved, or even change the case type. An example of this would be that Mr. Rowland's case is starting as a missing person. It's believed to be foul play has happened. What if he's found tomorrow? He's no longer going to be a missing person, but we might now have an unsolved murder that happened. So we would leave the case status as open, but we would change the type from missing person to murder. We could update that type. Mr. Rowland is still missing, so we're going to leave it as that type. It is an open case. It has not been solved yet. If this case was solved, when we select solved, you're going to see an option to list case disposition. These would be the details. If somebody is arrested for a murder and the case is closed or a missing person is found, you could list those details where they'll be featured on the profile page. But this is an open case. We're not going to hit publish yet because we don't want to publish a blank profile. We want to build this profile out as much as we can so that it has the best amount of information to possibly learn more and share on the internet. So we're going to leave it unpublished, but whenever we're done filling our sections out, we will come back to the status tab and hit that publish case button. Next up, we're going to zoom over to the vitals page. And again, I did change some of these settings just to demo them for you. And it's saying, hey, are you sure you want to switch tabs? You're going to lose some information. No problem. I didn't actually change anything. All right, we're going to go through some of the vital statistics for Mr. Rowland. He was a male. He did have brown eyes. His hair color is gray, and he is a white male. For height and weight option, we have a range where you can list a range or you can put in a specific amount. If you know that Mr. Rowland was 6'1", you can select 6'1", leave the max height blank, and you're good to go. For this case, we do have Mr. Rowland listed as 6'1" to 6'2". So we'll go ahead and list the range. We also have his weight listed as 250 to 260 pounds. Again, for this section, you can just list one weight. You don't have to list the second one if there's not a range. We've listed out the weight range. We do have a date of birth for Mr. Rowland. He was born on July 26, 1946. We'll punch those details in. Again, we could use the calendar icon to browse to it if we needed to. We are going to, if we had any additional physical descriptions, this is where we'd fill them out. This is a good place to list unique tattoos, jewelry, body piercings, clothing being worn. And we're also going to list an age at event. So we'll fill that out in just a minute. I want to make sure we hit save. All right, list details, hit update, we're good to go. Next, over on the tasks, we're going to list tasks that need to be completed or have been completed. By default, we have a set amount of tasks based on the case type. Because this is a missing person field, missing person case type, we've populated it with common tasks for missing person cases. If this was a murder case, we would list different entries on here. For this case, starting off with, I know that it's being investigated by the police. I know they have a national entry into the database. We're going to hit completed on that. For that, I can list to the DPS, Texas Department of Public Safety website for that entry. I'm going to post that link there. And anytime we make a change on each of the rows, we hit save. If I wanted to add a new task, I would give it a title, a link if I wanted to, and set the completed or not completed state, add a task. It will then show up in the list down here. I also know that Mr. Rowland has been entered into the nameless entry, into the nameless database, so I'm going to include the link for that here. I'm going to hit save. And again, anytime we change these rows, we want to make sure they're saved. I don't know if families submitted a DNA sample on this. What that does with NamUs is it allows for once a month, the NamUs system is going to come across unidentified persons and check their DNA against family reference samples from missing families to possibly match and identify unidentified persons. I wish that every missing person's case that we submitted, we were able to get family DNA submission. This is certainly something that I want to promote, I want to talk about, and as we're working with families, we're trying to get them to law enforcement so that they can take that reference sample. And it does have to be collected by law enforcement, but it comes at no cost. I don't know if dental records have been obtained. I don't know who the current lead investigator is, and I don't have a family contact that I can reference on this page. Give them the ability to update the page and manage it as they see fit. Family contacts can be designated to allow family members to keep photos updated or add new stories to the case, and just gives them the ability to maintain this homepage for their family member. Likewise, law enforcement can be added as a moderator to cases, and this allows them to control the public details that are released on a case. We do have the right amount of tasks completed. I feel good with that. So we're going to move on to the timeline section. This is where we're going to build out the facts of the case. What happened on what days? Well, we're going to start with the day that Mr. Rowland was last seen. He told a witness he was going to go on a fishing trip on July 21st of 1997. I don't know what time he left, so I usually just default and put 8 in the morning. But what we do when we list this date and time, we now have the option to choose the display format. If it's an incident that happened at a specific time, I'm going to want to select that time on there. But if it's an incident that just happened that day at an unknown time, I'll select that option. Likewise, I could choose just a month or a year if we don't have that level of detail. We do know that on July 21st, Rowland told a witness he was going to go fishing. It's a very, very basic summary. Put that in here, hit add entry. We've now got one timeline entry. We're going to build out the rest of the case. We know that on July 22nd of 1997, unknown time, but on that date, Rowland's wife reported him missing to the police. We'll save that timeline entry. It's very important to build out this timeline so they understand the fact patterns of when things happen in relation to other events. We're going to keep building it out. He supposedly went fishing on the 21st, reported missing by his wife on the 22nd. On July 23rd of 1997, unknown time, Rowland's truck was found burned off of a road not too far away. So we're going to list that detail. We've got the burned truck in. The next month, Rowland's boat trailer is found in a wooded area, so we're going to include that. On this one, we don't know exactly what day it was found, so I'll usually just put the first of that month if I don't know the day. And over here in the display format, I'm not going to list the time, I'm not going to list the date, but I'm going to list August of 1997. Sometime in August of 1997, Rowland's boat trailer. Okay, so just some small general details of what happened at certain times. Fast forwarding after August, we now have in December on an unknown date. In October, we have that the pontoon boat was found on the lake in a cove. Okay, so we're building out that timeline. We're getting our details put in. And then the last detail we're going to add is that sometime sometime in January of 1998, divers found the top for his boat in the area where the boat had been recovered. Unknown date in January, so change that format, January 1998. Okay, so we've been building up those timeline entries. We have them in here. If we wanted to change any of this, if I had it listed as August, but oh no, it actually needs to be the date, we can change the drop downs of any of these to be the appropriate date that's set in. We can also edit the text, change the date and time. If we edit any of these fields, we need to hit the corresponding save button. And then you can delete timeline entries using the matching button for each one. I think that's sufficient for the timeline, so we're going to move on to points of interest. This is a really great way where we're going to take all the facts in this case, put them on a map, and be able to see how close they are from each other and what their relations might be. We've got a lot of things we can fill out. We're going to pick an icon type. We have general, house, car, business. Hopefully we'll be expanding these icon types in the near future. We're going to give it a name, list a note, confirm the latitude and longitude. If we don't know the latitude and longitude where the pin should be, we can search an address. So the first thing we're going to list is Powell Park. This is where Mr. Rowland said he was going to go fishing that day. So we want to put that on a map. I know that it's in Broadus, Texas, and I've got the exact address for Powell Park. Put it in here. It's going to autocomplete, says, hey, we found a matching address. We're going to click on that. It's going to zoom to it. I don't know if the pin is in the exact right location, so we will zoom in. All right, we're at Powell Park. Kind of just put the pin somewhere in the marina. I'm going to switch over to the satellite. I don't know where I put the pin, but I want it on the boat ramp over here. So I can just grab that pin, drag it over here. My lat and long have updated. I'm going to just leave this as the general icon, and I'm going to call this Powell Park. Give it a note. And both this name and note will show up on the case page and the global map for Solve the Case. So we've got a name and a note. You want to have both of these if you can. Pin's in the right location. Let's add that point of interest. All right, we got it saved. It added down here at the bottom. Whenever you add a pin, it's just going to default to a new location, and it's ready for you to enter in the new one. The next point we're going to put in is a car icon. It's going to be the approximate location that Mr. Rowland's truck was found, and I'm going to put in the latitude and longitude for it. So I'm going to go down to the latitude and longitude, paste in my new coordinates, paste those in here. It was found in the area of Neal Road and 844. I don't actually know the exact place it was found, but this is a really good reference point that we can anchor on. So I'm going to include this, and should we stumble across any more details or someone from the community is able to find some more information for us, we'll get that point updated. So we've added that point of interest, added this truck. Pontoon boat is found in one of the coves. I'll probably just use the general icon for that. So several months later, the pontoon boat was found in this cove. And again, I have latitude and longitudes for this pin. So I'm going to paste in the latitude, paste in the longitude. It's got it there in the cove. That's where it's found. Let's add that point of interest. We're going to add one more point of interest. We're going to add the boat trailer where it was found. We'll list the general icon. We'll call it boat trailer recovery. And we do have this one as well with latitude and longitude points. I'm going to paste in the lat and the long. If you don't know how to get latitude and longitude points, use Google Maps, browse to where you want, and inside Google Maps on their main webpage, maps.google.com, you can right-click anywhere on a map, and it's going to bring up a menu and show latitude and longitude points. This trailer was found in a wooded area off of this highway. This is an approximate location. Obviously, if we had details exactly where it was recovered, we would love to update that pin to the exact location. But this is going to be sufficient for examining the points and how they relate to each other. So scrolling down, we've now got 4 points of interest added. There are some points of interest related to this case that I would like to add that we don't have. One of them would be the lake house, where Mr. Rowland started his day and was supposed to leave from to go fishing. And he also lived in Lovekin, Texas, so that may be something that we would want to put. If we wanted to add his house, he had one house in Lovekin, Texas. We could search for Lovekin, Texas. They're generally going to put it at either the center of the city or on City Hall. We'll move that pin to the middle of the road. We don't know where in Lovekin that he lived, but we'll just have that point so that Lovekin can be visualized on the map. All right. So we're just adding Lovekin as a point of interest. I don't know where his lake house was on Sam Rayburn, so I'm not able to add that as a point of interest. That covers all of our points of interest now. Next up, we're going to go to media. This is where we're going to add pictures. It's currently the only media type that we support, and we're hoping to add others in the near future. But every case, we want to have, we do want it to have a point of interest, but we want every case to have a picture as well. This is what's going to be the profile picture. It's going to be shown on the browse page. We show it in social media when things are shared. And the way we do it is we have 2 media types. We have profile and we have gallery type. The gallery is going to be that section of the profile down at the bottom where it has different photos that you can go through. And the profile is going to be the pictures at the top right corner that you can go through. So we have profile and gallery. The profile image that's going to be shared on the browse page and on social media is going to be profile position 1. And this is just the sort order that we want the pictures to be in. So this first picture that I'm including is going to be the main picture of Mr. Rowland that we want to be on there. I'm just going to call it Harold Rowland. I'm going to select a picture. It's going to show a preview of it. And then I'm going to hit add media. I'm then going to take that image. It's going to upload it to our servers. And you have this friendly reminder saying, hey, you didn't have a profile image, but now that we have a profile 1 picture uploaded, that warning went away. So we've got one picture loaded as profile 1. I do want to share a couple other pictures. I want to show some gallery photos. And this is going to be the 1994 Lowe's pontoon boat. And I've got a stock image for that. So I'm going to select my image. Hit that. And again, I labeled it stock image. This is not Mr. Rowland's actual pontoon boat that was recovered, but he had a 1994 Lowe's and it had a blue stripe around it. So this is going to be representative of the boat that he had. Hit add media. And it's now showed up down here. So we've got a gallery position 1 and a profile position 1. Profile pictures, we just want to be the pictures of the person. And I've got one more gallery picture. We are going to include this picture in the vehicle section as well, but I like to include it in the gallery so that it's viewable with all the other pictures. We're already using position 1 for gallery. We're going to switch to gallery 2. So we're going to list the vehicle for Mr. Rowland. He had a 1996 gray Chevrolet Z71 extended cab. We do have a limit of what we can type on here. I'll tweak that a little bit. All right, right there. So that'll work. Gallery 1, select our image. Again, this is a stock image. It was gray. It's going to look something close to this, not the exact image. Adding that media. All right, we've got our 3 media items that we've added. We're going to jump over to the vehicle section next. We can add multiple vehicles. This one, we're going to have a title for it, make the year, make, model, color, and then notes for that vehicle. We're going to call this Rowland's truck. It's listed as a 1996 Chevrolet Z71. It was gray in color, and it had an extended cab. We are going to select an image. Again, we don't have a picture of his actual truck, so I've made one that's called stock image. It's going to be consistent to what it looks like. Add that vehicle. And that dedicated vehicles page on the case details page now is going to be populated with that picture. So we have vehicles completed. Our next section that we're going to go to is associated persons. On this particular case, I don't have any associated persons to list. I don't know the name of the wife for Mr. Rowland, but we could list persons of interest: dad, mom, sibling, child, step-parents, fiance, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, ex-spouse, ex-dating, family friend, co-worker, suspect, or other. We've got a spot for their first name and their last name, which are required fields. However, when you add a last name on the case details page, it's going to save the last name in our database, but it's not going to show it publicly. It's going to list a last initial for the last name. So if you put Joe Smith, it's going to list Joe S as an associate, and maybe it's a person of interest, maybe it's a child. You can also have notes. Similar to our other sections, we're going to add an associate. You'll have several listed down here, and you can continue to add as many as you need for this case, or delete the related ones. But just a reminder on this one, the last names are not shown on case details pages. If you have any other roles that you think we haven't covered that would be helpful to be in your case, reach out to us and we can get this list updated without any problems. That completes the associated persons. So we're going to roll over to related stories next. Under related stories, this is where we're going to list a website link, Facebook page, Instagram, podcast, YouTube types. Then we're going to organize. Here's the related stories. Where maybe facts are known about this case, where you can read further if you'd like. I do have several stories I'd like to add on this case, so I'll show you how we do them. The first one is going to be the Texas Rangers Cold Case Investigative page. Here's the link to it. We're going to give it a title, and I usually use the same title as what the web developers use for their page. This one is called the Texas Rangers Cold Case Investigation Details. It's just a website. There is no date for it, so we're going to leave that spot blank. Hit add related story. It's now on there. Okay. The next thing is there's a YouTube article or a YouTube video I want to link. So for this particular one, I'm going to change the icon from website. We're going to switch it to YouTube. I'm going to paste a link to YouTube, and this one's going to be called Vanished, and it's a story that a news station posted video on YouTube. So I've given it a title, and this link was posted, or this YouTube video was posted on January 12th of 2020. So I've given it a date. On articles that you add a date to, it will sort them in date order with the news article being at the top. So that's easy to see if there's new updates on a case. Let's add that YouTube link. Okay. And I'm going to link as many different links and websites as I can find that have reliable facts and information that we think would be helpful for other people to learn. That includes other projects similar to Charlie Project. It's very similar to Solve the Case. Let's link all of these responsible sites on there to get that full profile for a case. There's no date on there, so we'll get the Charlie Project added. There's another news story. KETK did a news story for this case. So I'm going to paste the URL. I'm going to paste the title. And this is a story that was posted on March 8th of 2020. So I'm going to add that news story. And last, the Lufkin Daily News did a story. Again, they're just a website, so we'll leave the icon the same. Post the link to the Lufkin Daily News. And I'm going to use the title that they put on their page. They used the title of Cold Case, Man Still Missing After One Fishing 16 Years Ago. So I'm pasting that title in there. And this is a story that was published on October 8th, 2013. I've added that story. You now see each of the related stories entered below. You can see some of them have a date, some of them don't have a date. That's fine, no big deal. If we needed to delete or if we needed to update any of the details, that's fine. We could update them, just make sure you hit that save button afterwards. So we've got a good amount of this case filled out. Gone through in our different sections. We have things in here. If we wanted to preview this before we posted this case, we don't want to jump directly to publish this case. Let's take a look at how we did. And what we can do is we can click this link right here in the upper left above Update the Case. It's got that back arrow. When we click on that, it's going to take us to the case page. This is all the information we just entered into those fields to build out this case and get it looking exactly like we want it. One of the things you'll notice at the top is that it says this case is not published, it's only visible to you. This is just a visual reminder that this is a case that you cannot see publicly, and if you do like what you have put in and you're ready for it to go, you need to do the publish flag. But we're just reviewing it. We're going to go through, make sure we have everything right. This is an open case. Here's the date of last contact. Let's July 20th. That actually should be July 21st. We've got a mistake. So what if we want to change one of the facts on here? Before a case is published and after a case is published, if you are logged in to solve the case, which I am right here, you can see I'm logged in as Aaron, and this is a case that you have admin access to or you're a moderator on, you can click the update this case button. It's always going to be below the profile picture. And when I click on update this case, it's going to bring me back to the facts for this case to edit. Mr. Rowland went missing on July 21st of 1997. So I'm going to update that data, hit update. Now I'm going to jump back to my preview page. Okay, so we've got this right. That error that we had on there, that's now fixed. We got reward information. This links to the link for the reward that we had posted. Here's how to get the official reward information. Going back down here, we got a link view discussion post. This is jump down to our forum section. We had post on it, but here's that summary that we posted. Vital statistics is by default it's shrunk because it's not something you want to read every time on the page. But if you do want to see those vital stats, click on this. You're going to expand it, learn what that is, and you can open and close it as you need to. Here's the circumstances we filled out, the additional details. It's going to tell us when the last time a case was updated. So this is one we're working on, July 22nd, 2024. Last time we've updated it, so you'll see that here. We've got the profile picture. If we uploaded multiple profile pictures for Harold, we would see little arrows where we could cycle through the profile pictures. This link right here to submit a tip will go straight to learning more details if you have information about Mr. Rowland that can help investigators. And we're going to see those tasks. We know it's under NCIC. We put a link for the DPS page, so we have it here. We know this case is on NamUs, and I put the link in there for NamUs. So if I click on that button, it's going to jump over to the NamUs page for Mr. Rowland. We've got some unknown tasks. We don't know if dental records have been put in. We don't know if there's been family DNA. Does Mr. Rowland have family? Is his wife available? Does he have children? Someone else, a brother, that could submit DNA that can be checked against those unidentified bodies. Cyber sleuths, this is where you come in, looking at these cases. Let's get those family DNA submissions going. If you want to share that case directly to Facebook or X, we've got those links right here. And then now we've got the timeline of events. It's going to start with the newest timeline event at the top. And here's what we learned. You know, he told a witness he's going fishing on the 21st. His wife reports him missing the next day. The 23rd, his truck gets found. The next month, his boat trailer gets found. A couple months later, his actual boat gets found floating in the water. And then in January, parts of his boat get found down near where that boat was found. If you want to click on See Full Timeline, it's going to go to a page that is nothing but the timeline entries. There's only a handful of timeline entries on this case, but if we had a lot of details, here's a dedicated timeline page so we can view all the details of this case. Underneath the timeline, we've got those points of interest. The map by default is going to zoom out to show them all on there. We've got this area right here, number 3. This is the approximate location Roland's truck was found. Here's the boat trailer recovery is found over here. The pontoon boat is found right here. The boat trailer is found over in this area. Here's Powell Park, where Mr. Rowland said he went fishing. And then here's Lufkin for reference. We know that he had a residence in Lufkin. He didn't start his day in Lufkin, though. So it would be great to know where was the lake house that Mr. Rowland started on. I'd love to see that on this map so we can see how things piece together. You know, just looking at things geographically on a map, the first thing that stands out, his truck is found all the way over here, halfway between Lufkin and the lake. That's certainly interesting. Makes you wonder if somebody connected to that has connections to Lufkin. But we'd want to know, where does the lake house factor into that to know if that's something that could be related. So we see all the points of interest related right here. Here they are on the map. And we can zoom this map around. We can actually zoom it in. Okay, here's where the boat was found. We can switch to satellite view and just really study this case and learn about it. Scrolling below here, we're going to have the media gallery. For this one, the media gallery, we've added a handful of pictures. We have Mr. Rowland, got a picture of his pontoon boat, and I put his truck in there. We wanted to see all the pictures that we uploaded. Clicking on See All Pictures. It's going to go to this gallery, and we can quickly jump through the photos, viewing them at their large size so we can really see the detail. Going back, we also have related vehicles on here. We just have one vehicle, so there's nothing to scroll through. And here's the picture of the truck. If we had added related persons, maybe his wife's name or associate he was last seen with or something like that, there would be a square in that area filling that up. Scrolling below that area, we now have our related stories and podcasts sorted by date. We've got a news story from 2020, a YouTube link from 2020, a news story from 2013, and we can click on these links and read those details. Whole case page organized here. And if we had related discussions in our forums, those posts would show up here. You can start a discussion here. One of the things I'd be interested in is I'd like to know, hey, Cyber Sleuths, can you help find out where was Mr. Rowland's lake house? Where was he starting from that day? So I could start a discussion. Click here. And I'm going to hit a reply. So I don't have those details, but I'd love to see them on the map. So I'm going to post this reply. Get that on there. Now when I refresh this profile page, you're going to see that forum post that I made on here. You can see some of those details at the bottom of the page. And from our case detail pages, we have information for submitting a tip. And all the data on this page is all able to go back and be edited from this update case button right here underneath the profile picture. This case page is looking pretty good, so we want to get this case published. I've gone into the editing screens. I'm going to go over to the status tab, and now I'm ready. I've double checked it, I've triple checked it. I feel comfortable that I've got the right information out there that's going to do the most good. Let's publish this case. When we click publish the case, you're going to get a confirmation box. Hey, please confirm everything is correct about your case. If you have any questions for publishing, you can always contact us. And what this does is if you go through this normal flow, you might just put in a person's name. You might jump to the status page and publish the case. Well, publishing a case page that just has the person's name without any details, without any points of interest, timeline information, doesn't do any good for this unsolved case. So this is just a reminder. Hey, did you get your details added to this case? We know we have. We checked them out. So yeah, we'd like to confirm. Let's publish this case. All right. Mr. Rowland's case page is now published. We're going to find it on the main Solve the Case database. And when we browse it, we're going to be able to read those details. Now, when we go to his main case details page, you'll see that warning at the top saying this is an unpublished case is gone. And this is the live case for Mr. Rowland. This is ready to be shared on social media. This is ready to learn more about. And how can we do the most good finding Mr. Rowland? Well, we started by creating a homepage for him that could be managed by his family, could be managed by law enforcement, and it can be managed by community members. Anyone can create a case page, and we hope to see the cases that you guys bring to our site so that we can do the most good for these cases.